Good morning, Jason Redmond, founder of Wounded Wear, and welcome to our first edition of Wounded Wear Partner Profiles. Coming off an amazing event, Toast to the Heroes 5, and here with us at this event, we had a lot of partners, and one of the big things we want to do with our partner profiles is highlight the amazing organizations that we are working with along this new mission that we have set up with our pride, power, purpose, and peace. And in coordination, especially with that purpose and peace, we're looking for all those organizations that can help those warriors out that find the housing, the education, the jobs, and that peace from the invisible wounds of war with the PTSD and TBI. And one of the great organizations that's doing that, that's providing services all across the country, are those that are providing service dogs. And one of the organizations that we have been working with, that we are highlighting, that we want to connect other warriors to amazing service dogs that are out there, is Battle Buddies. Tell me a little bit about each of you guys. I'd like to hear your background, how you got into this, what led you to this. And Kenny, obviously you have Atlas. What led you to get Atlas, and what's he doing for you now?
Well, like you said, I'm one of the founders. I'm currently the executive director of the Battle Buddy Foundation. Like you said, this is my service dog, Atlas, a wonder dog. He's not only my personal service dog, and really kind of been my key to to that peace, to finding that peace again. But he also serves as the face of the Battle Buddy Foundation. That service dog program through the Battle Buddy Foundation is our main and primary program, and really where the rubber meets the road with the Battle Buddy Foundation, and really how we got started.
Kenny reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got this service dog. It's really helped me. It's wonderful. It costs $15,000, and the VA isn't paying for anything." And knowing his background and being a service disabled veteran, I said, "Why isn't the VA paying for this? Why are you having to raise funds for yourself?" So after I spoke with him, understood what the service dog actually did, the tasks, the things that it helped him to do, I could see very quickly how the little bit of the guy that I knew before Iraq was shining through again. It had been a very long time since I'd seen that. So we said, hey, let's start an organization and help veterans around the country do this. And
tell me how you guys got to know each other. You talked about your time in Iraq. I mean, tell me what you guys did in the military, how you got to know each other, and how we came full circle to the Battle Buddy Foundation.
He was my junior Marine. I was in my second cycle in the Corps. We were both in the infantry, tow gunners, so we were tank busters. And for some reason, there was just something about our chemistry that clicked right away. And after I stopped hazing him, we got to know each other, and we're friends throughout.
When did you start to recognize that you felt that there was a disconnect or there was something wrong? What did you start to identify with yourself? I know for me, there were anger, definitely a lot of anxiety when I was in big crowds. I think that's common with a lot of our veterans that have been overseas that come home, loud noises, things like that. So tell me about that.
Despite what my understanding, my book understanding of post-traumatic stress, and despite being in some of those groups, it really took me a long time to actually see how that materialized, in my daily life, how that materialized, in my thought processes, in my decision making, and how much, I still truly based my daily decisions, my daily, life decisions now in a civilian world. They were still flavored by that combat experience. They were still, I don't know if you want to say tainted or flavored, or however you want to, go with it, but it was, there's definitely that influence there. And for me, the first time that I think I really started to get a grasp of what post-traumatic stress or what these, residual invisible wounds looked like in my personal life was, like I said, it was a couple of years after I got out before I really got into the VA. I had a counselor there that was she truly had a heart for veterans, and she was really doing it for the right reasons. And, she had been trying to get me to come to group counseling for quite some time. And when I finally, made that and, went into, made it to one of the groups, I think there was maybe 8 or 10 other veterans, and they started to go around the room and kind of tell a little bit about themselves, their combat experience and a little bit, the things they struggle with. And it was funny because, you know, I get to the first guy, he tells his story, and I'm like, oh, yeah, me too, you know. And second guy, third guy. By the fifth guy, I was mad as hell. I was convinced that, you know, that doctor had went and told everybody a little bit about my story and asked him, hey, if you can kind of relate to Kenny, make him feel, you know, a little more at home, you know, that'd be great. And it wasn't until it got around to right before me, and it was almost my turn, that I was in tears, you know, a whole room of combat vets, you know, and here I am, you know, crying like, you know, barely able to control myself. But it was the realization that these guys weren't saying things to make me feel comfortable. They had no idea what my story was. And it was amazing for me because it was the first time that I truly realized I'm not crazy. You know, this isn't abnormal, you know, the way that I feel. There's a lot of other guys and gals out there that are struggling with the exact same things that I am. And for me, that was the huge eye-opener. You know, I struggled a lot with, you know, everybody's combat experience is different, you know, and you know, what you take away with that, you know, away from that, you know, I think there's different things that stick with you. But, you know, I had trouble rectifying some of those things with who I thought I was as a person and who I viewed myself as.
You kind of nailed it there. Everybody has different experiences from combat, and I think sometimes people that might have had a lesser experiences will tend to try and downplay or put in a box the things they've seen, because they're like, well, I wasn't there doing this, or I wasn't there doing X or Y. And it's important. Combat leaves wounds on every person that's been there. Absolutely. And if you served our great nation and you went overseas, you know, then you are a brother of us and sister of us. And that's what we are about. That's why we want to help you, and that's what this partner profile is about, highlighting the organization that can provide you those services to heal those invisible wounds of war so that we can help you find purpose and peace. So tell me what led you to a service dog and how that started to heal you, which of course led to the creation of Battle Buddies.
For me, you know, unfortunately, over a 5-6 year time frame, you know, I went from, you know, 1 pill 3 times a day to I was swallowing over 30 pills a day. And, you know, it quickly became apparent to me that things weren't getting better in that respect. You know, I was over medicated. You know, the VA staff that I was going to, you know, they were overwhelmed with, you know, the incoming veterans and everything. And, you know, it became very apparent to me that, you know, in my mid-20s, you know, swallowing over 30 pills a day, that wasn't a very good life choice. You know, I wondered what my insides would look like after 30 years of swallowing 30, 40, 50 pills a day. So
you start to lose touch with who you really are. It's just masking your inner personality. You know, the VA is trying to do a lot of great things. I disagree with the level of pharmacological pressure that they're putting on our veterans. That's one of our big pushes, is we want to get guys away from that. You know, the brain treatment centers that are out there, the hyperbaric treatments, anything we can do to try and get guys off the drugs.
I count myself lucky because, you know, I had a counselor that he wasn't there for the status quo. You know, his interest was in legitimate, tangible change in these veterans, you know, and you know, putting us in a better space. So for me, you know, he had obviously, you know, kept track of, you know, my medications lessening and things like that. And one day I was in there and he looked at me and said, Kenny, you know, what do you think about a service dog, you know, to help with your PTSD? And I kind of thought about it. I said, a dog? I'm like, what's a dog going to do for me that if I really want to do, I can't do on my own? And so I was a little skeptical at first, you know, and there was a couple other veterans, just a handful, not very many, but, you know, a couple other veterans I was able to talk to that had service dogs. I was able to get online and again, start looking at some pictures and having people read me the captions. But, you know, I got to learn a little bit more about what they were. And, you know, as I started to look into the process, you know, I really became sold. You know, I found out that there were different things that these dogs can be trained to do that would directly mitigate those same things I was swallowing all these pills for. And, you know, the real difference is instead of relying on the medication to deaden that and take it away and make it manageable, I was able to have a support, you know, have a battle buddy in my service dog. I can tell you you know, I struggled for years with hypervigilance, you know, always being on edge, always kind of wondering what's around the corner, you know, what potential threats there could be, any military age males that could potentially be a threat. And I can tell you having him there in this relaxed mode like he is, you know, I can be on edge and I look down and see him he's that relaxed. What reason do I have to be upset? Because I'll tell you right now, if I was to act like I was going to stand up, he'd be up there right away. He's on it. He's on point at all time. And being able to have that relationship, and being able to know, that unconditional, unending trust, it truly gives you that support that you need.
Joshua, I want to hear you tell me when you saw that difference and how you guys were like, we got to take this and give it to other veterans out there.
For me, coming back from Iraq, I was fortunate that I was able to have mentors and people that helped guide me and keep me on track. So I was in the private security industry, I started my own business, I was in law enforcement, and I was able to continue to have support around me. And Kenny mentioned that support earlier, and that's another huge thing that the Battle Buddy Foundation is about, is that peer support, that encouragement, because a service dog is simply another tool in your toolbox. It's not a cure-all. And I always say there's a lot of things that we can help mitigate because we're too reactive as a society when it comes to veterans issues, and we need to be more proactive. So we're trying to fix things, after the domestic violence charge, or after the DUI, or after the assault charge. Whereas if you give a veteran support, a service dog, a home, a job, a mentor, you're going to mitigate a lot of those problems before you get to that. So once we started with the service dog program, we said, okay, we have something here. Now how can we slowly start to expand this? It was just a natural maturity to bring it to mentorship and employment. And that's what I had up in California, because that was one of the things that brought me out of my dark space, and helping veterans have that support system.
Yeah, veterans out there who are looking for a service dog, who are looking for some of these additional services, where do they go? How does the fundraising occur? Tell me about that.
Well, right now they can actually go to our website. It's www.tbbf.org. Stands for the Battle Buddy Foundation, makes it very easy. You're able to contact us through support at TBBF there. All that information's there, and you're able to ask us anything, and we can help you with that process, absolutely.
And I know there's someone that we're going to be helping very soon that we're looking forward to helping.
Oh, my wife actually recommended it to me. I travel a lot. I'm in front of a lot of crowds, and I still have a little bit of the hypervigilance. I still get apprehensive with crowds that I don't know. I worry about that threat. And my wife Erica came to you guys and said, I think Jay would be a great candidate. And we've talked about it. So yeah, we are driving forward, and I myself am looking at getting a service dog, a version of Atlas the Wonder Dog. So, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. This is Wounded Wear Partner Profiles. We are about bringing together great organizations like the Battle Buddy Foundation and connecting our warriors out there, our veterans out there who are struggling with whatever it is. If they are having that anxiety, if they are suffering from PTSD, if they are looking for a job, we want to connect you out there to our partners that are doing great things, because we're all in this together. It's building this coalition of how we can help warriors rediscover the hero within through pride, power, purpose, and peace.